A mother's early intervention will determine her young child's cognitive development for a lifetime. From birth through the first 3 years, have you ever wondered why some people have exceptional intelligence and others are just with moderate intelligence? You might surmise, well, some people are just born smart, or one of the parents donated their smart genes to the offspring. Well, it just might surprise you as to know how we really obtain our intelligence and when do we get this intelligence. Before I present an outline and guiding post for mothers to follow, which will significantly enhance her offspring's cognitive knowledge, first, let me underline a brief statement as to how I gathered this most valuable information for this presentation. I was project administrator of a renowned pilot research center known as the Parent-Child Educational Developmental Center located in New Orleans. It was established to ascertain and learn why a significant intelligence gap of 12 quality IQ points exists between underprivileged young children when compared to their counterpart, middle-class Caucasian children, according to standardized tests. Now, is this a huge thing? Yes, it is. It's most telling because the average IQ in society is 100 points, and such deficiency in knowledge, in most cases, becomes nearly impossible to overcome later in one's life, even as an adult. This study was funded by grants from Tulane University, Family Health and Family Planning, and grants provided by the government for this research. Mega research tells us the outline for a child's knowledge should be developed and formulated during the first 3 years of life if a person is to have competitive intellect for a lifetime. Simply put, the first 3 years are the most crucial, the most pivotal years in one's life. An individual will have difficulty accumulating and applying accommodation and assimilation needed for learning and understanding later in life. Now, if this is not understood at an early age, then you will be hampered for a lifetime. As adults, we never learn as much information, and we don't learn it as fast as we did the first 3 years of development. And of course, there are certain things we don't want to know. We might want to know how you become an auto mechanic or something like that. At this time of development, a child's brain is designed and wired to assume an astronomical amount of information. And consider this much. The child is eager to learn more than ever again. And of course, they'll ask, what is this? What is that? Point to things for the mother to give them the answer. In other words, the brain is different during the first 3 years than it will ever be again. This is a period of development when a child will formulate his or her beliefs and assumptions about unknowns and attempt to solve their curiosity their way and remember how they arrived at their answers, which will be filed into the folders of the brain and unconsciously recalled later in life as needed. Our confidence and courage is developed at an early age and is italicized as we proceed through life. And a mother must polish our confidence to give us courage. Now, about genetics being a major contributor to a person's intelligence, case studies give us this. When black identical twins were separated at birth and adopted and raised by Caucasian families and black families, all the twins raised by Caucasian families intellect was much advanced over their siblings, which were raised by black families. Now, how can this be? After all, each set of twins came with almost identical genetical makeup. Well, we can assume this much, that the Caucasian families knew what procedures and what to do during the first 3 years of development. They knew it was the most crucial years. And simply stated, a black child, if raised by a Caucasian family, will have as much as 15% advantage in knowledge. So the concept of genetics giving us our outstanding intelligence should be minimized. Now, everything I will outline are the procedures and application needed the first 3 years of growth, which our professional staff instructed to the mothers who came into our center for instruction, our learning center. A child's development during the first 3 years are noted as newborn, infant, and toddler. Newborn covers from birth through the first 2 months. This is the time a mother should talk and smile, sing, should take her newborn's hand and touch her face with it to make the child feel comfortable. Mothers, I'm sure you remember when you were handed your newborn immediately after delivery. What happened? Well, the child just stared at you. Your newborn didn't know what to think. What is this? They don't know what a human is, and they probably wondering whether or not they're going to have a good life. Let's go to the infant stage of development, which begins at 2 months through 12 months. Mothers will talk, and their mother will become more playful, will stick out her tongue, place her infant's finger in her mouth, kiss the infant's stomach, laugh and giggle, and say the infant name, but no nicknames and so forth. It'd be confusing. But why should the mother talk in short sentences to her infant? They don't know a thing. They can't comprehend one word that the mother is saying. That's true. However, they realize a mother is attempting to communicate with them, and they probably saying one day we'll get it together. Consider this, mother. You are in a foreign country. You don't understand the language, but someone is smiling and trying to communicate with you. You feel better. Now let's move to 6 months of this infant stage. The infant should know a minimum of 20 words by now. Words such as his name or her name. They should know various things like the bottle. They should know what that is, or treat and all that. And they should also, at 6 months, they will distinguish between frowns and warm smiles and detect harsh tones. All of this is by 6 months. An infant will begin uttering various incomprehensive words in an attempt to communicate with mother. Will reach for things, want to touch the mother's face, because now they're feeling more comfortable. The final stage of the 3 years in development is the toddler stage, which covers 12 months through 36 months. And at 36 months, we now start the child developmental stage. Now, if we move to around the 18th month, we will note this much. A toddler will begin babbling increasingly, trying to communicate and emulate his or her mother's behavior. A mother is now reading from a large picture book. She should place the child's finger on a picture to show that it's okay. Deshaun, let's touch the fat white cat. Mother will continue to introduce unfamiliar words by talking, smiling, explaining, reinforcing. A child should now start the process of learning a minimum of 20 unfamiliar words a day. 20 unfamiliar words each day. And they will learn how to master these words. In other words, how to decode and recode unfamiliar words and remember his or her way of doing it. Now, by the 24th month, a child should have mastered 300 or more words, such as yeah, no, mine, juice, milk, mother's name, grandmother's name, playmates' names, name of the pet or something, name of some toys, know 2 or more colors by 24 months. A child is curious as to what is taking place around him or her. The ringing of a telephone or doorbell. A child has observed the mother talking and smiling while chatting on the telephone. So a child will reach for the telephone because the child wants to be happy and smile also. So the mother should do this. Roberto, the telephone is ringing. Let's see who it is. Oh, it's my friend Victoria. Come on, you can talk to my friend Victoria. She'll talk to you. A child should be able to construct a sentence with 3 to 4 words. Mama, I want a cookie. And be able to follow 2 steps direction. Tasha, put your doll in the toy box. A mother will construct sentences now with 4 to 5 words. At 30 months of this toddler stage, a child will significantly increase his or her knowledge by being more independent, can analyze their thoughts about situation and discover and figure out unfamiliar challenges to elevate their confidence, and they won't be fearful of trying something and failing. A child will enjoy playing with blocks, sitting on the floor and coloring or drawing, playing with educational toys, talking more comprehensively, and attempting to have conversations with mother. Where's my red ball, Mama? I want my daddy. Talking to himself or herself. A mother must embellish her child's confidence and encourage her child to retry something by giving her approval with smiles, kisses, and treats and so forth. Carolyn, let Mother Beth Ann see what you have colored. Oh, that's so beautiful. Let me give you a kiss, or you can give them a treat. Please color a doll for Mother. Now, a child will attempt to read and point out pictures for a mother to validate their thoughts. How about this? I colored a worm, Mother. Mother might say, no, that's a caterpillar. And a mother has to get a picture book with a worm and a caterpillar, because that's the only way they will disseminate information, is to see both of them side by side. By 30 months, your toddler mother should be able to speak or process a minimum of 700 words if future comprehension is to take place, to make your child smart for a lifetime. Now, here are a few physical interventions associated with cognitive development. Time for a bath. If a mother displays a frown or harsh tone when it's time to give her child a bath, well, the child's going to start crying, because they can detect that it must be a chore for mother, and they're saying, I don't want it either. I'm going to start crying. Tracy, are you ready for your relaxing bath? And you have a smile. Dwayne, help Mother Katrina wash your ears. See, we're washing your ears. Oh, the water's a little too cold? Okay, Mother Sophia, I'm sorry. We'll correct that. It's feeding time. John, it's time to eat. I'm going to give you prune sauce instead of your favorite sauce, which is applesauce. Oh, you spat it out. So you don't like prune sauce. Okay. Time to put on your clothes, Mary. Please give me your hand so you can help Mother Ebony put on your pretty pink dress. Now, this is a time you can add please and thank you to your sentences. But just how significant is talking directly to or in the presence of a young child? Okay, consider this much about talking and expressing your thoughts. Listen, recorders were placed in homes of Caucasian and Black families to measure words spoken directly to or in the presence of children beginning at birth. By the age of 3, a child from a middle-class Caucasian family has heard more than 30 million words. On the other hand, a child from an unprivileged family has heard only 10 million words. That's huge right there. That's part of that IQ disparity. Because how do we learn? By someone talking to us and explaining and talking in short sentences. We don't learn anything in isolation. That's not how we learn vocabulary. We learn them in a sentence. Now, it's not unusual for a child to deliberately throw items such as bottle or a small toy. And listen, a mother should retrieve the item and give it back to the child as many times as she feels is appropriate. Deshaun, I see you want to play with Mother Heather. Okay. Let me see you throw the bottle of juice again. I guess you want to see how far you can throw it. You're testing your thesis about the bottle. Tasha, I see you had an accident. Not a mess now. Please give me your hand so we can clean up your accident. Now, Tasha, in all probability, placed the food on the floor to see what would happen to the carpet, testing her hypothesis. In either case, a mother should not become upset with this learning behavior, because that's what it is. Listen, under no circumstances should a mother hit, spank, yell, or threaten her child consistently. Child psychologists tell us this much, that if a young child is consistently spanked or emotionally abused with frowns, stares, yells, put downs, and so forth, a child will lose or squander about 10 quality IQ points, because knowledge is gained by experience. We build intelligence by trying things. A child will be hesitant to experiment or to try things that are important, which will be employed later in life. The child now, as an adult, might remember, and chances are they will remember what happened during those first 3 years. And that is this: I won't try to do anything. I remember my mother spanked and screamed at me. I'm a failure. I made a mess, and she threatened me each time I did. And this lost intelligence will be extremely difficult to overcome later in life. This is the way the brain is designed. It remembers every little thing. So, you, mother, would be fearful to try something if someone screamed at you over and over. Neurologist tells us this: physical and oral abuse at an early age will cause the brain to suffer changes and show critical impaired neural connections in the brain as a result of this negative behavior. Parts of the brain associated with the regulation of attention, emotion, and other cognitive procedures will suffer. Memory is affected, which is crucial for learning. If a young child is consistently spanked or screamed at, well, this young child will become aggressive. A mother might remove the child from an unwanted situation, find out why the child is visibly upset. Even if a mother refrains from her negative behaviors when a child is older, it will do little to improve low self-esteem and less confidence that has already taken place. They're going to remember it. Studies postulate this: children who are abused tend to display this same behavior with their children. Or if children were encouraged and not abused, well, they're going to mirror their parents when they have children. As a mother, you may state, well, I see nothing wrong with spanking them. I see nothing wrong with yelling at them. I remember being spanked and I turned out okay, but why do you even remember it? And you said I turned out okay. Nothing exceptional. What should a child have mastered by the age of 3 years to prepare them for pre-K and beyond, and not be labeled a slow learner because they aren't able to decode and recode information that is required for learning, and to be able to read proficiently at their age? Now, I have a few right behind me, and you can jot them down, mother. A mother should ask questions right now instead of giving direct statements, such as this: Maria, why would you hit the puppy? The puppy's sleeping, but why would you hit the puppy? You see, instead of saying, don't hit the puppy, you're engendering critical thinking, giving them something to think about, and it builds morals too. Now, about the procedures our staff put in place to test the staff's hypothesis about intelligence resting in the hand of a mother and not so much with other negative variables. We asked 60 underprivileged young mothers with their newborns to be volunteering participants for this 3-year ambitious study. 2 groups of 30 mothers and their newborns were formed. 30 mothers and their newborn were part of our treatment group. In other words, they came into the center for instruction. The other group of 30 mothers and their newborns were the control group, received no instructions or intervention from our professional staff. The treated group visit our development center 5 days a week for 5 hours per day for 3 years for the purpose of instructional tutorial service from our staff. In other words, we work first with the infant, and then we work with the mother in trying different procedures. We had movies and demonstrations and so forth. This is what you should do, don't do this. Free transportation to the center was provided. All participants were provided with a small monetary stipend. Mothers were provided with manuals. We had things drawn in the manuals and so forth, what a mother should do at home, and to jot down notes about the improvement. And you should do that, mother. You should have a journal to write down the progress of your children. Now, the results of our 3-year study. Young underprivileged children from both groups were evaluated to measure their gained knowledge. Now, I'm going to remind you that all participants were 12 intelligence points deficient from the middle class. The children who visit our training center for treatment gained 8 remarkable intelligence points. That's huge when compared to the children from the control group. Simply put, the control group did not advance their intelligence at all. They remained 12 points deficit behind Caucasian children, not for the children who came into our center when we tested them at age 3. Mothers, just by knowing what procedures to exercise during the first 3 years could be the difference whether an offspring will have competitive knowledge or not. And it's going to last for the rest of his or her life. Simply put, the first 3 years is where we make a decision unconsciously that we're going to do this or we're going to do that with the help of the mother. But if a mother spanks or hit the kid when they're trying something different, then you have prevented them from being very intelligent for a lifetime. Now, science tells us that 25% of a child's achievement or intelligence can be directly attributed to a mother's nurturing during those first 3 years. Let me end with this note. And I should say this, mothers, try to get some of those electronic toys. They're very good. A mother's education or lack of economics is not paramount in giving her child the necessary tools that will be so valuable for a lifetime. She is the parent who will give the child his or her intelligence, and it's going to last a lifetime if it's done at by 3 years, not when they're 10 years old. Of course, that helps. Now listen to this. I should mention that 12-point IQ difference is no longer. We had it for maybe 50 or 60 years. We have narrowed that 12 points difference between the two groups down to 9 quality IQ points. But this is still unacceptable. Mothers can change the trajectory of this intellect disparity by just knowing what to do. Now, to help get the process started, mothers, I'm going to ask you to do something for me. To have parties, to share this information, and talk to people who are expecting, mothers who are just giving birth to a child. This will be very helpful because it's going to be up to you to change that. 9 points is not acceptable as it is today. Yes, it is down from the 12 points. Okay, I would like for you to subscribe and leave me some of your personal thoughts, whether this was productive for you or not. I'm Clifton A. Castile. Thank you so much.